market reviews. The big trends across the country decoded region by region to help you get an in-depth perspective of those markets and also where property prices are headed in those markets. Today on the Realty Debate, we focus on the National Capital Region or NCR, which includes Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida and Faridabad, also Ghaziabad. The center of power, Delhi and NCR markets should have been the first ones, isn't it, to bounce back with a stable pro-growth government in the country. The stock markets have already rallied to their all-time highs. But it's clear that the real estate markets are far from that euphoria. Why so? Joining me today for some important answers are Sanjay Dutt, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Cushman & Wakefield, India. We also have with us in the Delhi studio, Nishant Singhal, Promoter and Director, Strategy, Investors Clinic. Rohit Raj Modi, Director, Ashiana Homes Private Limited. Ashish Jerath, Vice President, Sales, EMAR MGF. Sameer Jasuja, Founder and MD, Prop Equity, and Prashant Solomon, Managing Director, Chintels India. So lots of perspectives, different markets we will take with different guests. But let's start with Gurgaon market and set an agenda and a perspective. A darling of investors market in India's top performing realty market as well over the last decade. Now what's going on here, especially in the last year or so, new launches in Gurgaon market overall have declined by 45% in the first 4 months of 2014, that's January to April, versus first 4 months of 2013. This is prop equity data. Absorption has fallen even more. That means there were few buyers in the first 4 months of the year, but even few launches, but even fewer buyer than launches. 75% lower absorption is the figure. Even then, the prices rose by 15%, and I think, and of course I will corroborate it with my experts, that this probably was driven mainly by the developers who basically raised prices at those few new launches. All right, so that's the big story here, which data is telling us. So let me start with what's going on with Gurgaon. And Nishant, the first question is to you, simply because you can feel the pulse of the buyers right now. Have the investors and speculators completely disappeared?
That was the case probably a month back, because say during 1 hour meetings with our clients, we used to spend more than half of the time talking about negative stuff. The GDP is going down, economy is going down, government is not taking any decision, etc., etc. Where will the real estate go? At least those discussions have disappeared. So with the change in guard at the center, people are more confident and are ready to take decision. They are probably waiting for the budget as a short-term event to see what is the direction government is taking, because all the announcements like building new 100 cities, reducing interest rates on home loans, reduced tax rates, more exemption on savings, etc., etc. All these are positive signals. So I would say, like you said, that new launches have gone down, absorption has gone down. It was primarily because people were waiting for election results. But now that's done and over. So probably in 3 to 4 months or so, you will see demand bouncing back.
3 to 4 months. That's a waiting period you see?
Yes.
All right, Sameer, your data. So I'm looking at now micro market wise, Dwarka Expressway, absorption is down 87%, Golf Course Extension, absorption is down 93%, New Gurgaon, absorption is down 61%. This is actually New Gurgaon is the only market which saw new launches. The rest of the markets didn't even see too many new launches, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think this is coupled because of two reasons. I think the most important reason is that there were no investors really in the market. The other big factor is that if you look at these micro markets, they had overshot in terms of prices over the last 3-4 years, and these markets became quite unaffordable. If you're talking about Dwarka Expressway or Golf Course Extension, Dwarka Expressway as a micro market had seen launches between 3,000 to 5,000 rupees a square feet as just about 2 years back. But if you were to look at the latest launches, they happened around 10,000, 11,000 rupees a square foot, and the prices had just run away. These are prices that we are talking about for well-established secondary markets in Gurgaon, like even the Golf Course Road today trades between 12,000 to 13,000 rupees a square foot. Golf Course Extension, if you look at it, that micro market has about 20-odd thousand apartments coming up in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, really speaking, I think the investors had over-invested in the Gurgaon market, and now with the investors running away, there has been a great slowdown. Developers had to also concentrate on getting their execution right, because there was so much that they had already sold, and they had to concentrate on getting that execution done to create cash flows for themselves as well. So these are the two prime reasons why I feel that the markets have really come down in absorption. And of course, the government being unstable, the economy not doing too well, added to that totally. As far as the new Gurgaon sectors are concerned, they were still affordable sectors. There is a huge demand that we've witnessed in NCR, especially in, say, the Noida extension region or the...
We'll come to Noida later.
Yeah, that's why.
Not to worry.
So the new Gurgaon sectors offered that affordability in the Gurgaon region. So that's why you witnessed new launches over there.
All right, but I see that the weighted average price in New Gurgaon actually have been the most muted.
Because of the fact that, again, if you look at the new Gurgaon sectors, because the social infrastructure has just not been there, and that was also an investor-driven market. If you had to go about selling products, you had to launch them at reasonable prices. And also the land prices at which these land banks were acquired gave enough room to the developer to be able to launch at reasonably
I think the developers just got more rational after going crazy on Dwarka Expressway. Won't you say that, Ashish? I mean, look at Dwarka Expressway, 10,000 rupees per square foot. Isn't that the price that you launched at?
Yes, that's, Dwarka Expressway. It is not that it's
so all... So was New Gurgaon a story of sanity after the exuberance and craziness of Dwarka Expressway?
See, today we look at Gurgaon as a large market with several micro markets.
I agree.
And just like Extension Road is a market, NH8 is a market, Dwarka Expressway is developing with its own merit, its own fundamentals. So we see that, not so much of a challenge, at this point of time. Yes, the buying has come back into the market, and it has come back to various extent in various markets. There is... unlike stock market, we were not expecting, a sudden rush of buyers to come into, a buying mode the day after the result. Now, that has happened gradually. We've seen, as expected, purchase coming back first into the secondary market. And that has happened more in the new Gurgaon market. Now, that has been followed up by primary sales in the same market. Now, we see that spreading into the Dwarka Expressway and the Extension Road markets as well. So, I'm not sure what the expectations were. Our own expectations were that these the market would change. It will take a couple of months to do that, and to that extent, it's exactly as per
expectation. So you're feeling good about it, isn't it?
We are feeling good, looking at the positive signs that are coming out of our primary sales on National Highway 8, looking at the secondary sales signs that are coming out of both NH8 as well as Dwarka Expressway. Okay. Both have started moving and the direction is positive.
All right. So first, sales picked up in the resale market, which doesn't really do much for a developer. Prashant Solomon, what's your opinion? Dwarka Expressway, so great story. Of course, you have projects elsewhere as well, but this was one market which has had stupendous rise over the last 4 years, making it from an affordable mid-segment homes to a luxury market, and the transformation has been pretty much by just the fact that developers have been launching at a higher and a higher and a higher price point. Was the second half of 2013 and the first half of 2014 so far been a reality check for Dwarka Expressway market?
Well, I think, Manisha, it's pretty much because of the overall situation, as my colleagues have been talking about unstable government, uncertainty about economic policies and all those things. Everybody knew that there was that the new government that was expected to come and which has now come would probably have a positive effect on the overall economy. And I think that now that has happened, you are going to see the effects of this coming a little later. As said earlier, that the stock market immediately reacted, but the same reaction is not going to happen as quickly in the real estate market. It will take a few months. I think people are waiting to see how the budget is going to, what kind of new policies are going to come, tax reductions, interest rate reductions, that whether they will happen or not. And I think after that you're going to see a huge change and growth and speed in the real estate market in this area.
Okay, so everybody is expecting a lot of excitement to come back, maybe not now, but in a couple of more months. Rohit, is it looking that that hunky-dory? There's Haryana also up for elections in October, and FAR, which is likely to increase from 1.7 to 2.5%, which has been the developers' demand for the longest time, cribbing that real estate prices in Gurgaon can't come down because of that miserly FAR.
You know, first of all, I wouldn't read much in last 3 months or 4 months that we were talking about, because there were several factors.
These were exceptional months.
We were literally towards the end of the tunnel, and people just didn't want to take a call on that situation altogether. But going forward, I would agree with what Nishant said, that the vibe has turned positive. People have been asking positive stuff. There's inquiries gone up. The conversation has become positive. There is, I wouldn't say there is an impact on the sales per se, because first of all, there has to be absorption, which has to go higher. Once the absorption rate goes up, that's when we will see probably the price movement. If the price is not moving northward, I don't think it's such a bad thing at all. The important thing is the absorption must go up, and people are waiting to get that confidence back in the job scenario and their own growth story of their own employment. Once that happens, absorption should start to go up.
Okay, so now let me come to that very other important question. You had a point to make on supply. Is there a concern now emerging on the supply side, Nishant?
No, it's exactly the opposite. Let's take example of
You're
Dwarka.
saying that even though new launches have gone down, the fact that sales have slowed down even more, there still seems to be an excess supply?
Yeah, so let's leave aside history of last 24 months. Okay, let's look at future. Narendra Modi has come now and stable government is there. Let's look at next 5 years.
You've always been a very positive bull, real estate bull. Let me please declare. First you must say I'm a real estate bull.
let me give you the logic. Okay.
Okay.
Entire Dwarka Expressway, okay, is around 20 sectors. Okay. As per the DTCP rules, you cannot have more than 3,000 apartments per sector. So the total supply on Dwarka Expressway is 60,000 apartments of various sizes. If more larger sizes come up, this will further come down. Okay. 50% of the launches have already happened. Okay, 50% is absorbed. So we are talking about 45,000 apartments availability on Dwarka Expressway over next 10 years. 4,000 apartments per annum. Where is the oversupply? Even if you add the Golf Course Extension Road Master Plan, Manesar Master Plan,
there's an oversupply, Nishant, because there's
4,000
no
apartments per annum.
And there is no social infrastructure.
No.
How do you live
I'm
in
taking
Dwarka?
a scenario of 10 years.
Okay.
Infrastructure will come in 10 years. So we are talking about supply on a prime area, 14 kilometers away.
Can we take a 5-year period? Long term is too long and we're all
5
dead.
years. Then it is 8,000 apartments a month. Noida sees 50,000 apartments per annum. You know, so where is the oversupply on Dwarka? If you have to stay close to the airport, after Dwarka, you have Delhi. So if you start from the airport today and you move 30 kilometers towards Jaipur, all the master plans are announced. On one side, you have Aravali's. On one side, you have Delhi. Nothing can come up in the vicinity. No new master plan can come up within the 30 kilometers vicinity of airport.
So Gurgaon can never be an oversupply market?
I completely disagree.
Okay.
So I have to give two very important points here, right? First of all, let's talk about pure Gurgaon. Gurgaon does not have more than 30,000 apartments that are ready. Every year going forward now, 30,000 apartments have to be handed over.
Those are already sold.
Right, already sold. So let's talk about livability.
Future sales.
It's very important to have livability also in those apartments that get ready. Right, so what is happening is that if 3,000 apartments come into the market, the real genuine demand is of only 1,000 odd apartments, and 2,000 apartments are migrating into new apartments. The tenants are migrating into newer buildings and the older buildings are falling vacant. That is a very scary scenario which has happened only in the last 1 odd year. That's one very important aspect to be kept in mind. The second most important aspect to be kept in mind is that Delhi is going to witness, starting 1 year from now,
group housing per square feet.
That's not entirely
true. Even Dwarka is at 10,000 rupees per square feet.
It's available at 5,000
in one stretch, because it's an 18-kilometer stretch and there is a price variance between 5,500 to 12,000 depending upon proximity to Delhi.
Absolutely. So we
and
can't
Delhi will not see 1,200 square feet apartments.
No. Nishant, we can't really.
No, so we can't add up the supply of last 30 years that it will get vacant,
etc. So the divergence is here that you believe that there is not that much supply. It's not going to be. Yeah. So there is not much supply on Golf Course Extension because there's a ruling right there which anyway is a negative
30 kilometers from the airport towards Jaipur, entire master plan is announced. On the one side you have Aravali's, no-go zone.
What happens when the FAR increases, Nishant?
it will increase on the future projects, not on the projects which are under construction, where building plans are already approved because the foundations are not ready for 2.5
But
FAR.
the entire area, in the entire master plans, all projects have been
That's
approved.
good now. So if Dwarka
Have they been
Expressway,
approved? Of course not.
No, if Dwarka Expressway is going to see only 4,000, the buyers would want that it should go up to 6,000, which is good. Metro is coming up, so if metro is coming up, your infrastructure is improving, that means that area is ready to
So there is
absorb
room
more.
for more
I just want
supply.
to add one point to this. What is just worrying me is that properties over 1.5 crores or 2 crores, the genuine demand for a person to be living in that property is not there. They may be buyers and investors that may be there. So I am wondering that when you have 15 to 20,000 apartments ready, just say in golf course extension, and 50% or 70% of them are not occupied, then those apartments will challenge the new supply that will come into the market.
But then you see, you're talking about a very, very niche segment of the market now, 2 crore plus.
Okay, all
segment
right.
is a
So,
very niche
so
segment.
gentlemen. Okay, let's have a verdict here. I know that we have very differing opinions. I think the big question here, which everybody wants a simple answer to, is that if I were an investor of Gurgaon, okay, and I had certain markets to consider,
Buy.
to buy now, all right. Which markets to buy? Nishant, let's start with you. Just very crisp answers. 2 or 3 markets. Would you say buy New Gurgaon? Would you say Dwarka Expressway? And at what price point?
Resale prices on Golf Course Extension Road are 7,000 rupees per square feet. Why not buy now? In Adani on Dwarka Expressway, we saw 5 times oversubscription at 5,500 rupees per square feet.
That's okay. Those are the heydays.
you can still get resale at 5,700. Why not buy? You will not get anything at 5,500 because the replacement cost on Dwarka Expressway is more than 5,500.
Would you agree with that, Ashish?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is the supply that we seeing today are at historic prices.
So you're saying Dwarka Expressway, out of all the Gurgaon markets, you still like Dwarka Expressway the
buy
most?
anywhere, depending on the budget. Or Golf Course Extension Road is like a 2 crore budget. If you're 1.25.
So, okay, so the
I'll
price
put my
point?
money on Dwarka Expressway because that road is a game changer. Once that happens, you will see. And you know, we always talk about infrastructure catching up. We understand that in India, it's a catch-up game for infrastructure. When you talk about New Gurgaon, look at the deliveries which have come up by DLF. Now, suddenly in last 6 months, you've seen the roads have sprung up and, you know, some schools are under construction. People understand that the socio-urban infrastructure will take 3 to 5 years to catch up. And I think, while it's not a desirable situation, but Indian mindset understands that.
Okay, does Gurgaon, for all of you, remain the best performing NCR market?
Absolutely. We see that
They are only
happening.
there. So they have to say
I
that.
put it along with Noida actually. I will put it along with Noida.
Noida will compete
All right. So,
primarily on the expressway.
in the past, if you take a 5-year trend, Gurgaon markets, either of these markets, have done way better than any of the Noida markets. Prashant Solomon, I know you're feeling a bit left out because you're on the 3G, but still, I mean, just give me a good price point to be buying on the Dwarka Expressway. We've got a price point for Golf Course Extension. If you're buying anything in resale between 7,000 to 8,000, there's nothing available in the new launches, then you're well set. So if you were to talk about Dwarka Expressway, what is a good price point and a comfortable price point to buy at Dwarka Expressway?
Well, you know, Manisha, it depends on how far away from Delhi. Because one end of Dwarka Expressway, the other end is about 18 kilometers. So I would say
from Delhi, 10
anything between
kilometers and then
6.
further.
Right. So I would say a resale, if you're talking about resale price point, anything between 6,000 to 6 to 8,000, depending on which project you're talking about. Because as my friends were saying earlier, the social infrastructure of Dwarka Expressway is still being built. And one advantage it has over the other areas is that it is an infrastructure that is being built from scratch. Unlike Golf Course Extension Road and unlike the new Gurgaon area, you have this large road coming from the airport, and it's going to have wide roads, very good systems, sewage systems, infrastructure, all those things.
Still waiting for it though.
That is, and so close to Delhi. No, it is, but it is being built. I mean, okay. I know people, it has been delayed, but if somebody comes and takes a look here, the roads are already being built and people are using them.
Is 8,000 seeming too expensive to you?
The connectivity that is taking a little longer.
I think 6,500.
Okay, 6,500.
On Golf Course Extension Road.
On where is it available?
Yes, M3M, Merlin. You ask projects, they're there.
Okay. So there are projects available everybody.
The point that I'm trying to make here is that at price points that are reasonable, There should be
Samir,
end user demand.
define the price points for us.
I can define every price point.
Okay, tell me the price points.
So for example, if you were to talk about Dwarka Expressway, ready, good to go, livable with complete social infrastructure 3 to 5 years from now, 10,000 rupees a square feet for a good project, right? If you're talking about
4 now, you can get it at 4,000.
So if you can get it at 4,000,
4,200
a project that is a mid-level project, it will go to 6,000 to 7,000. A luxury
Nishant
project.
is saying they are available at 4,500.
See, that's developer specific actually, project specific, developer specific.
So I'm giving you price points at which eventually you will see the final rate stabilizing at. If you look at golf course extension, 10,000 rupees a square foot is a fair rate through 2 to 3 years from now when it's fully established. If you look at New Gurgaon, I think 6,000 to 7,000 rupees a square foot is a fair rate that should continue over there for some time to come.
What happens when the FAR goes up? No one's willing to bite that bullet.
See, another thing needs to happen along with, if you're expecting that increase in FAR will decrease the prices, another thing needs to happen.
It will not decrease the prices, but it will take away the room for prices to increase. How can I be wrong on something as simple as that?
I'll tell you what is that.
You increase the supply, how can prices keep going up?
I'm just raising the important point here.
Right.
Unless density increases along with the FAR, you will not see the desired effects taking place. So, in case the density was not to increase with the FAR, you know, you will see more larger.
Yeah, that seems must have a proportion.
Highlighting a point that FAR talks about.
Manisha, I would tend to agree with you that yes, we may not see sudden spurt up in the prices because supply has gone up by almost 30% or so. If what one is hearing, it will be 2.25 or whatever you're looking at, a 30% increase in the FAR or so. Sorry, 20% increase in FAR or so.
Right.
So there would be increase in supply, and it won't be across because there would be some cutoff, some distinction what projects can get them and what can't get them. Yeah. So it won't happen across the board. So there will be increase in supply which will keep a pressure on the prices. But important part of the prices, we don't see it diluting further.
Okay.
And Samir...
so you're saying whatever hit has happened, what new launches have already, the prices have come down, developers have been more sane, and resale, already there's a huge difference between resale prices.
Property at 7,000 rupees per square feet in a construction linked plan, and now you're selling it in a 30/70 plan, there is a huge discount.
There is a huge
more than 15 to 20% discount sitting there. So people need to understand this. We are getting overwhelmed with the supply scenario. Let's talk about infrastructure. Noida is an example where government had...
You have to wait for Noida. You can't steal my thunder in the Gurgaon segment. Hold on. I'm going to take a very quick break here because we have devoted 22 minutes to just Gurgaon and of course the various micro markets of Gurgaon. The consensus, and am I right to say that if you're willing to hold on for 3 to 5 years in Gurgaon, you still can expect 13 to 15% appreciation? Yes or no?
More than that.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely more than that.
More than that. Samir?
I'm not too sure.
13 to 15?
It would depend on micro market to micro market.
Okay, where will you get 15%?
I think where you will get 15% for sure if you hold on for 3 to 5 years, Dwarka Expressway you will get it. Golf course extension, I'm confused.
You're confused. Okay, fair enough. So I'm sure if I go to Prashant, he will say Dwarka Expressway, but for obvious reasons. But here's the takeaway. Still a lot of bullishness in the Gurgaon market, saying that the fluff from the market has been taken away in the last 1 year. The speculators have had a tough time in exiting. Resale prices are already down. Developers have rationalized. They have been offering discounts in various schemes, whether it's 30/70 or discounts. So all of that put together, this could be a nice time or a good time to buy into the market, but don't expect exuberance. There's also an FAR coming. No one knows what will happen. I mean, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding, or not even mystery, we don't know how many projects will get affected or not, but that will put some pressure on the prices. So don't be in a hurry to jump back as an investor, but then also start evaluating the market. On our way back is Noida. Lots and lots of things happening in Noida. There are 50,000 flats stuck now because of the NDTV order. So possessions are not coming through. Developers are stuck. What's going to happen to the Noida market in a while?